Somebody just sent me a link to one of those escape room accounts. That's crazy. I think those died off like a month ago, dude. But it's using my information. Did I just get hacked? I'm just sitting here at Fight Caves.
No.
This is Miniman, by the way, checking in for the first time in a long time. This video is going to be featuring some clips I've accumulated over the last 2 years and might not be as cohesive as some of my past videos. I like to have almost like a linear kind of plot, but that's not really the way the accounts turned out. So anyways, let's get back into the meat of things. As I continued playing this account, there's been a few changes to the rules I'm adhering to. As the wiki page began to add more and more things to their list that I don't consider minigames like Zaya activities or raids, I decided to start going only by the minigames that have a red star on the map in-game. This makes things pretty clear-cut, even though these do change from time to time. For example, since I started this account, Shades of Morton gained a minigame star, and Tithe Farm also went from a Zaya activity to a minigame. However, many new minigames have been added or revamped since I began, and probably since we last talked about them. Not only does the Gauntlet and Hallowed Sepulchre offer some amazing rewards, but they also allow me to quest a lot more. And while the quests themselves don't offer spectacular upgrades, they do unlock more bosses, giving me just enough to train in NMZ. So I went ahead and completed all of the Myricky quests up to Taste of Hope, and the quests up to Roving Elves, because that's a prerequisite for Song of the Elves, which I'll be eventually doing to unlock the Gauntlet. I also decided to do the Grand Tree and Shreenome Village because the Spirit Tree network is so heavily tied to the Gnome Restaurant minigame, and because it would give me 2 more low-level NMZ bosses. Having to walk to a different Spirit Tree every time I needed to access the Spirit Tree network made Gnome Restaurant tedious, to say the least, and it is unfortunately one of my best sources of gems, so I actually do a good bit of Gnome Restaurant. I'm also pausing my questing for the time being because these bosses are going to be amazing for combat training. I'm probably going to put off Song of the Elves until I achieve 90 plus combat stats, because this method right now does not have a bad list of bosses for me to do non-customizable normal mode rumbles with. That's a mouthful. The difference between a customizable rumble and a non-customizable rumble is that in a customizable rumble I can choose specific bosses to fight. That allows you to disable bosses that would be annoying to fight. In a non-customizable rumble, however, you have to fight all the bosses you've unlocked through questing at all. So any boss that you've completed the quest for, you have to fight. The reason I'm wanting to avoid Song of the Elves is because it has a boss that's unlocked in NMZ that drains stats, and that would force me to do customizable rumbles and disable the boss. And I would really like to avoid having to pay the extra 20,000 GP every time. Right now, I'm only having to pay 2,000 GP every time I go in, and really that's not much at all. This is even more important when you consider the actual method that I'm using in NMZ, because it's easy for me to kind of just stop paying attention a little bit and mess up to a point where I have to restart. I don't have Recipe for Disaster or Dragon Slayer 2 completed for the 2 self-damaging items that people typically take into NMZ, and that makes it easier to reset your HP once it ticks up. Another common method is flicking Rapid Heal to prevent your HP from regenerating in the first place. So turning the prayer on and off again resets the 1 minute timer for regenerating HP. But if it does regenerate, I don't have a way to lower my HP because I don't have any of those self-damaging items I can bring in with me. Anytime I miss that timer of flicking my Rapid Heal, I gain another hit point, and that increases the maximum damage that enemies can roll against me, and I use my absorption potions faster. Because I've got so few bosses and I don't have great DPS, my points profit is already pretty marginal, especially when I'm ranging. At the moment, if I regenerate to about 3 or 4 HP, it seems like that's enough to make my net points decrease and become unsustainable. So then the issue came with figuring out how do I consistently lower my HP before going into NMZ. For a while, I would teleport to Ardun, take the ship to Brimhaven, go to the Brimhaven agility course, and purposefully fail the planks at the very beginning over and over again. And that takes quite a while because you have to constantly go back up and through the animation over and over, and as you get lower and lower HP, it starts doing less damage. So it probably takes like 5 minutes or so to actually set up, and the more HP levels I gain, the more annoying that is. Then I realized that there was something about one of the most unsuspecting minigames in all of RuneScape. Rat Pits, while it does not have any rewards obtainable by Ironman, and it's basically just a duel arena for cats that nobody uses, it's littered with these rat traps. And if you click these rat traps with your character will take 3 damage. So I can just spam these rat traps, lower my HP to 1, and flick Rapid Heal as I minigame Telly to Nightmare Zone, and my setup time is about a minute compared to 5 minutes or more every time with the Brimhaven agility method. I know what you're thinking, this is all fine and dandy for combat XP, but what about prayer XP? I mean, my prayer is only like 50 something. Shouldn't you be doing pest control? Pest control is pretty good prayer XP, but it's only slightly better than Shades of Morton. Soul Wars added the Ectoplasmator, which actually makes it even better, and I think I haven't actually started doing this yet, but I think it's going to be close enough to pest control rates for prayer that I'm not going to worry about sweating pest control. And the reason why is because it also allows me to train crafting and fire making, and I get some slightly better loot. I'm able to stack up Amulets of the Damned, which are degradable glory equivalents, because it's going to take me a long time before I'm actually able to make a glory. So I think this is probably my best bet, is just stacking up a bunch of those, since I'm going to be doing a lot of it anyway. Additionally, I don't have access to any of Ava's devices, so it kind of sucks to lose precious ammo every time a pest control game ends. Just seeing hundreds of arrows just blip away because I didn't pick them up before the end of the game kind of stinks. I can get Dragon Bones, potentially, from Barbarian Assault, Dragon Implings eventually, and Grubby Chests, which I can get keys for from Gourmet Implings. And while those methods are not like a good source of prayer XP on their own, it's such a big chunk that you have a chance of getting it once that it'd be awesome to have the bone saving effect of Zealot Robes just there and available for if I get one of those drops, just to maximize that prayer XP that I'm getting. The painful part of that is going to be getting the fire making level for Magic Pyre Logs, so I have a chance at gold keys. That's going to be a bit of a grind, and I'm going to try and just do as much U-Logs as I can and just keep pumping that for a long time and see where we're at, and then if I still don't have the levels by the time I'm like 90-something combats, and maybe like a decently high prayer level, then maybe I'll go ahead and start specifically grinding for Zealot Robes. I also decided to do some Spoils of War when it first came out, and I pulled Rune Plate Legs, which is actually an upgrade for me, a Dragon Mace, which would be a huge melee upgrade, especially since they lowered the tick rate of maces, maybe like a year ago or so, which would be awesome, but I can't use it without Hero's Quest, unfortunately, so just kind of a cool flex item to have in the bank. And I also managed to pull the pet.
Willbender.
Yes.
I'm super jelly.
No
Willy.
way. Oh my, which is pretty cool. The next piece of the puzzle is where the hell am I going to get ammo for training ranged? Fight caves is going to be rough if I only have 56 ranged, and ammo is terrible to get a hold of on this account. Feathers are really hard to get, pretty much only come from barbarian assault gambles or maze randoms. I was smithing knives with ore, and I would buy that ore from the blast furnace shop, make bars at blast furnace, but that's really expensive and it doesn't really hold up long term. My ranged gear is actually so bad that Void has only just started to edge out this gear in terms of DPS because my accuracy is just so bad. I mean, Void has a % increase of damage and accuracy, and my accuracy is just so low that that % increase, it's like 2.5% of nothing. So it's usually better for me to not use Void right now, but I think as my range level gets higher and my the weapons that I'm using get better, that will change. The only real solution is to get either a used shortbow through medium clues at Eclectics, or a magic shortbow from hard clues through Guardians of the Rift intricate pouches. So that's kind of what I'm going for right now. Finally, I'm going to need about 200,000 to 300,000 adamant arrows to reach 99 ranged without constantly having to pick them up, because I don't have access to Ava's assembler, and I don't really want to mess with banking on picking up every arrow. I'd rather just have a bulk amount that I don't need to have to worry about picking them up because I know I'll have enough. Thankfully, this is not that hard to achieve through the LMS reward shop. So I'm going to pretty much leave it here. We're not totally caught up to where I am yet, but my next video is going to be mostly about the LMS grind for those arrows, and hopefully we'll be ready for Fight Cave soon after. If you want to keep up with the updates as they come out, hit the subscribe button, and if you want to see a guy who's never PK'd flounder in LMS, check out my Twitch channel. I'll leave a link in the description. Oh god, dude. This song's gonna end! And I'm not going to have the power of being inspired. Oh, no way! I just won! I just won because they traded! Hey. Rank 1 LMS winner. Oof! That's my third win on this account.